Race number 13 of the NASCAR Cup Series brings us to NASCAR's oldest superspeedway, a track so historic and significant to the connection of the sport's past and its future. You can't luck your way into a win at the track that is too tough to tame. Legends of the sport over the years have been able to handle her treacherous features. However, today, 36 drivers will honor some of the greatest paint schemes in our sport's history, and in doing so, will try and dance with the Lady in Black. NASCAR MDK welcomes you to Darlington Raceway for the running of the 2024 Goodyear 400. You are looking live high above the Darlington Raceway, where we will see drivers just be inches off the wall. Maybe some of them may go over the edge and just get a little taste of what is known as the signature Darlington stripe. Will we see the continued domination of Hendrick Motorsports and Joe Gibbs Racing, or could finally Ford be able to break their bad luck and go to victory lane for the first time in 2024? We are just hours away from finding out. The weather here in Darlington, South Carolina is beautiful for Sunday racing. Unlike yesterday, low 80s, mostly sunny skies with winds around 9 miles an hour heading west-northwest towards the racetrack, and no rain in sight as we will go racing later today. And welcome everyone back to episode of MDK Racing. My name is Jett. Hope we're having a wonderful day. Sorry if this video is coming out a bit later than normal, but we're back after a 1-week hiatus. And since it is throwback weekend, repping the 25 years, Rusty Wallace Miller Lite shirt. I've worn it before, but it's throwback weekend. You gotta get in the mood for it. But yes, anyways, we are gonna be previewing today's Goodyear 400 from the Darlington Raceway. And since it is throwback weekend, of course, we're going retro with our graphics package. As you may have noticed at the beginning of this video, we're gonna be resembling the graphics package that NASCAR on Fox ran from 2004 until 2006. And I may continue that package for North Wilkesboro next weekend, since it's kind of also a throwback-ish race. But yeah, let's not waste any time and jump right into it with our news and notes. We're going to be recapping what took place the previous 2 nights with the NASCAR Truck Series, as well as the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Let's first start off with what happened in the NASCAR Truck Series on Friday night. After a 2-hour rain delay and a finish that ran over overtime, the race started out extremely unusual, with Kyle Busch wrecking on lap number 2 and finishing in dead last for the first time ever in his entire Truck Series career. The race came down to a restart after a late caution, sending us into NASCAR overtime, like I mentioned, involving Ross Chastain and Ty Majeski. After Majeski, who was able to maintain the lead, got a slow start that allowed Ross Chastain to get out ahead and check out to victory to win for the first time in 2024 in the Truck Series, and winning, of course, at Darlington. Always so special with the watermelon smash. Ross Chastain is a winner for your Friday night's Truck Series race. On Saturday, it was domination for Junior Motorsports, and specifically Justin Allgaier, after having some major bad luck this season from what happened at Dover a couple weeks ago. Early in the year at Phoenix, when he was leading coming to the final lap after he blew a tire. Nothing was going to stop Justin Allgaier here today, leading all but 28 laps and winning both stages. He goes on to win Saturday night's Xfinity Series race at Darlington, which is a significant victory as it now ties him for 24 wins in his career, ties him with this boss Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Tommy Houston for 10th on the NASCAR Xfinity Series all-time win list. Now let's take a look at the point standings following a crazy race at Kansas last weekend. Kyle Busch and Martin Truex Jr. still first and second. Larson now opens up to about a 29-point lead. Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin, and Tyler Reddick still third, fourth, and fifth. Blaney gains a spot on Byron after Byron had an unusually slow day last weekend at Kansas. Minus 105. Ty Gibbs, Alex Bowman, and Ross Chastain remain 8th, 9th, and 10th. A lot of position changes from 11th on back. Chris Buescher, with his 1/1000th second place finish, jumps up 3 spots, now 11th in points. Kyle Busch drops down 1. Christopher Bell, the biggest mover though, +4, now in the top 16. Chase Briscoe lost 2 spots, and Brad Keselowski holds a final playoff spot, currently 4 points above the cut line ahead of Bubba Wallace. Joe Logano, he had a bad day with his crash, or I should say his spin at Kansas, loses 4 spots. Daniel Suarez, he's in the playoffs even though he's 18th. Noah Gragson makes it into the top 20 for the first time, now 19th after a good run of finishes for that 10 car, and Austin Cindric now drops down to 20th, minus 252 from the points lead, and 72 points below the cut line. And Busch, the official beer of NASCAR and proud sponsor of the Busch Light Pole Award, given to the fastest driver at each NASCAR Cup Series event. Busch Light congratulates Tyler Reddick in the number 45 car for his first pole of 2024 and the 7th pole of his career. This is his first pole win since the Charlotte Roval last fall and won the pole at Darlington for today's race with a speed of 170.124 miles per hour. Since 2020, Busch Beer has invested more than $70 million as part of the NASCAR Cup Series premier sponsors. Now let's take a look at the starting lineup for today's Goodyear 400. We got some beautiful paint schemes to showcase. Starting off, row number 1, Tyler Reddick, throwing it back to the early days of Tim Richmond in his stock car career in the number 45 car. Alongside him is Brad Keselowski. If you've played Gran Turismo 3 or Gran Turismo 4 or a fan of GT racing, then you know that beautiful Supra Castrol car that Keselowski is repping. They start off, or headline I should say, row 1. Row 2 has Chris Buescher in the fifth third bank and throwing it back to 2000 BC, Ty Gibbs. And then he gets us car. Watch out for them feet, y'all. He starts in the 4th position. Row 3 has the Hendrick boys of William Byron and Kyle Larson, who have definitely stolen the show here this weekend with their throwback paint schemes. Byron starts in 5th place, throwing it back to Jeff Gordon's 2009 and 2011 DuPont car. Alongside him is Kyle Larson with probably the best car out of the throwback weekend, throwing it back to Terry Labonte's mid-90s Kellogg's car. Starts in the 6th position. Row 4 has a boss and his driver, Denny Hamlin in a Yahoo Toyota car. To his outside is Bubba Wallace, trying to just end this streak of bad luck in the past few races. Starts in the 8th position. And right out the top 10 is the Blue Boys of Ross Chastain in the Busch Light car. Sits alongside Martin Truex Jr., throwing it back to his 2017 win when he won the Southern 500 with Furniture Row Racing. Row 6 has Kyle Busch in the number 8 car. Sits alongside Christopher Bell in not a throwback paint scheme to D-Wall. Starts in the 12th position. Row 7 has the Ford duo of Chase Briscoe in the number 14 car. Sits alongside Joey Logano, who won here this race 2 years ago. Row 8 has the front row teammates of Todd Gillen, throwing it back to his Cars Tour days with his father. And to his outside is Michael McDowell, repping the throwback version of the Long John Silver's number 34 Ford. Row 9 has the defending champion of the series, Ryan Blaney, in the number 12 car. Sits alongside Alex Bowman, repping the throwback version of Jimmy Johnson's Lowe's car that he ran from 2002 until 2005. One of my favorite paint schemes starts in row 10, sits in the 19th position. Daniel Suarez throwing it back to Adrian Fernandez during his kart days when he drove the Quaker State car. Sits alongside Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in the 47 car, throwing it back to the Oscar Mayer Mark Martin days in the mid-2000s. Row 11 has rookie Carson Hocevar, who sits alongside John Hunter Nemechek in the number 42 car. And row 12, Austin Dillon throwing it back to Dale Earnhardt's late 90s Bass Pro Shops car that he ran in the All-Star race. Sits alongside Corey LaJoie in the number 7 Chevrolet. Row 13 has the number 2 car driven by Austin Cindric, and to his outside is the number 41 Ford of Ryan Preece for Stewart Haas Racing. Row 14 has Zane Smith throwing it back to Bobby Isaac in his iconic number 71 car. Sits alongside the number 51 Rick Ware Racing Ford of Justin Haley. Row 15 has Daniel Hemrick in the number 31 Black's Tire Chevrolet. Sits alongside Eric Jones, returning back after suffering a back injury at Talladega a few weeks ago. He will start in the 30th position, throwing it back, of course, to Richard Petty's early racing days. Row 16 has Chase Elliott, a surprising off qualifying run for him. He starts 31st, throwing it back to the 2014 National Guard Chevrolet that was driven by Dale Earnhardt Jr. Sits alongside Derek Krause in number 16 Colleague Racing Chevrolet. Row 17 has Josh Berry driving the number 4 Harrison Ford. Sits alongside Kaz Grala in the number 15 car. And rounding out the 36 car field is Harrison Byrne, throwing it back to the old Wood Brother Racing days in the 30s and 40s. Sits alongside Noah Gragson in the number 10 Overstock Ford. Here's a look at the odds to win here today's race at Darlington. No surprise to see Kyle Larson at the top, plus 300 as the best odds to win. Denny Hamlin, who is one of the best currently at Darlington among active drivers, plus 500. Byron, plus 600. Martin Truex Jr. also plus 600. A former Southern 500 winner. Tyler Reddick, plus 800. Chris Buescher, plus 850. Then we get some pretty interesting numbers. Brad Keselowski, who is starting second, plus 1,300. Bell and Elliott, 1,400 and 1,500 respectively. And then right away to some dark horses like Kyle Busch, 2,000. Gibbs, 2,200, as well as Chastain. Surprising to see Blaney at plus 2,800. Logano as well. And then we get into the long shots of Gragson, plus 4,500. Jones, plus 5,500, as well as Bubba Wallace. Alex Bowman as well. Austin Cindric, plus 7,000. And Michael McDowell, plus 8,000. Okay, so what can we expect here at Darlington? Well, I think it was kind of interesting, some of the comments that we heard from Ryan Blaney over the weekend, talking about the slower speeds, promotes aero blocking, similar to what we saw a few weeks ago at Dover between Hamlin and Larson. I don't know if we're going to maybe see a continuation of that in this race as well. I'm interested in seeing how the tire wear will be affected in this race. We know how much Darlington eats up tires, and even though there have been still questions about tire wear with this next gen car, will tire wear still be a factor? Absolutely. It's just to what extent will it be? Goodyear said that the tires that they brought, the left sides, are the same as it was last year, but the right side tires have been used only for this year. Most popular exception being last weekend at Kansas, where the right side tire was also being used. We saw how great of a race that was. So interested in seeing how the tire wear affects with maybe the comers and goers throughout this race. As for some of the drivers that we need to look out for, again, kind of like last weekend, the continuation, Hendrick and Gibbs. We saw it last week, but with a bit of a twist with RFK Racing, specifically Chris Buescher showing a lot of speed last Sunday night at Kansas, I should say, but it was still once again Hendrick Gibbs. Will this continue into Darlington? I believe so, but I do have a feeling that we maybe see a little bit of the force start to show up. Only RFK Racing. Both Keselowski and Buescher starting in great positions. Keselowski starting in the front row, Buescher with a great run last weekend. I do feel like that at the very least, those two drivers can be able to perform very well here today and put up a fight against those drivers of the Hendricks and the Gibbs, of Larson, Byron, Hamlin, Truex, and those types of drivers. Some other drivers that I'm looking out for some other drivers that I'm just keeping out an eye on are drivers like Kyle Busch, who last weekend at Kansas, even though somehow he finished back inside the top 10, even though he spun late in the race, the past couple weeks, Kyle Busch and that 8 car, they have been performing a lot better than at the beginning of the year. At the beginning of the year, they were horrible. Now they've started to perform a little bit better. How will that carry on into Darlington? More of a driver's track, trying to get out of the gate, try to keep the ball rolling with that 8 team, trying to find some stability with this next gen car, because Kyle Busch, he's been pretty evident to show his displeasure with this next gen car. Are they able to wrap around it? Are they starting to finally wrap around this car as we head into the summer portion of the season? I think this is really going to be a true testament as to whether or not we may start to see an upward trend with that A car. Because right now it's been kind of teetering. It's like it's a roller coaster. It's like, things are going good so far, but how long can they keep it up? Another thing you have to look out for is the bubble watch. I mean, we are now starting to get into, the type of situation where we may have to start looking at some drivers as to how can they place themselves as we get ready for the playoffs in August. Now, granted, we still got 13, 14 races left until the regular season finale at Daytona, but still, Bubba Wallace, 4 points below the cut line. You look at, or Joey Logano, 18 points below the cut line. I mean, you're talking about some big name drivers that are fighting for that final playoff spot. Keselowski, like I said earlier, holds a playoff spot at the moment. But I would argue guys like Busch, those types of drivers are by no means safe, because we can see how much it can fall like that. Like a Joey Logano, who was in before the start of the race last weekend. He lost 4 points, and he's now all of a sudden, like I said, 18 points below the cut line. So I think now is really the time where we have to really start to focus on this on the bubble watch of the drivers that are just hovering either above or below the cut line. So, and I think going to a track like Darlington, which will be the season finale, I forgot to say when we go back there. I keep thinking it's Daytona, but no, Darlington is the season finale. So this race, even though it'll be in different temperatures and different seasons, can give an idea as to where these drivers stack up. Specifically Ford. Joey Logano, I keep bringing him up because for the 2-time Cup champion to be in the situation that he's in, to have the season that he has, and he's not the only one. Ford as a whole has struggled, but at least we've seen moments. We've seen really wow moments. Like I said, Buescher last weekend in Kansas, but Blaney has been a mess season, but Logano outside a couple races has been horrible, I think, to the standards that we expect him to perform. 18 points below the cut line. Now you're going to these mile-and-a-half racetracks. We got Charlotte, at least the next points-paying race coming up. How can Ford be able to bounce back? They have been reported to working on horsepower to get some horsepower back into their engines to improve their performance. But man, when you're looking at these summer months coming up, these races that are coming up, it is extremely vital for Ford to get their arms around this car, because guys like Keselowski, guys like Logano, I mean, you can even throw in Gregson into the mix, guys like Buescher, even though They're either above the cut line, have a pretty safe margin, or below the cut line, not too far behind. By no means are they safe. And until Ford can get their head wrapped around this car, wrapped around this engine package, they are going to struggle. Because I think you look at guys like in 2311 Racing, you look at a guy like Bubba Wallace, who we know he has top 10 speed every week almost. They just need to get some good luck on their side. I mean, look at the top 10. Only one Ford is in the top 10. All the other Fords are just hovering around that 16th place. Going into Darlington, I think this could be an opportunity for maybe Ford to show some muscle. Like I said, they're qualified very well. Keselowski's starting second, Buescher's up there. They've been known to be really fast, at least in the 10 to 15 lap averages. There have been a lot of Fords that have been having really good lap averages over a long period of time. So who knows? This could be one of those inconsistent days from Ford where maybe the last couple weeks they weren't that good, but maybe this weekend they might show up. But overall, I think we're going to see a great race. Darlington has, at least in my opinion, since the next gen car was introduced, has always produced great racing at that racetrack. I see no reason why that trend can't continue. Now let's take a look at my Fantasy Live lineup going into this race. I do have a Ford driver, and it is the 6 car Brad Keselowski. I have him in my lineup. I got Reddick, Denny Hamlin, Ross Chastain, and I got Kyle Busch. Again, like I mentioned, I feel like that this could be the opportunity where we start to see that 18 wrap around this next gen car. Kyle Busch be able to wrap around this next gen car after a very slow start to the season. I think we may maybe start to see some greatness from that 8 car. And I got Bubba Wallace in my garage. Bubba's a driver that he can run well at Darlington. It's just that, can he get some good luck on his side? He's starting in 8th place. I have him in my garage just in case something happens, because I feel like if he has no bad luck, if everything goes well for him, he can at least give me some good points, because I need it. But now, who do I have winning this race? You notice I've talked a lot about Ford. And you notice I talked a lot about RFK Racing. Like I said, I feel Ford is so inconsistent in 2024. Some days are bad, some days are great. I said that this today might be one of those days where they are great. And I also think that they are going to finally break into victory lane for the first time in 2024 in any of NASCAR's 3 Touring Series. And it will be the driver of the 6 car. And that beautiful Castrol throwback, I have Brad Keselowski winning. He is a former winner here at Darlington, won the Southern 500 in 2018. I think he can break his winless streak that goes back to Talladega in 2021, and he will go to victory lane. I got Brad Keselowski taking it home. But those are my thoughts on what I think is going to happen in this race. Let me know what you think is going to happen in the comment section down below. As always, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more content. Until next time, my name is Jett from MDK. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the 2024 Goodyear 400. We'll see you here later today, recapping everything that took place here in Darlington.